Okay.
So, welcome to Coffee with a Purpose, everyone. This second February second Monday in February, continuing Black History Month. Actually, we're going to start out with a little bit more on that topic from Deborah's aunt, Linda. Paul Carew is our featured speaker this morning. Very graciously has conceded the floor for first 10 or 15 minutes or so. And then we'll spend the bulk of our time with Paul hearing about his work with Veteran Services, his upcoming retirement, his Saturday group, all kinds of good stuff. But before we do that, Linda, I believe pretty much all the same people that are here were here last time, so maybe we can dispense with our introductions and let me turn it over to you for a little bit more. Good morning again.
Good morning, everyone, and happy to see everyone again. And it's a glorious morning here in Somerville, where I am. Sun is shining.
Yeah.
Very cold, but sun is shining. And I have just another little item for Black History Month. And last week we spoke of Carter Woodson, and he was the inventor and the author of many books, and started Black History Week, the precursor to Black History Month. And today I want to feature a man named Garrett Morgan. Garrett Morgan was a prolific inventor. And I'm going to just read some of my notes because he had quite a few things. He was an inventor and an entrepreneur in creation and saving countless lives. And despite facing racial prejudice, his ingenuity left a lasting impact in public safety and daily life. And he was born in 1877. Both his parents were slaves. And he had a sixth grade education. A sixth grade, that was the amount of education that he had. And he had tutors that helped him to enhance his education. But he started work, and he found work in Cleveland as a sewing machine repairman. And this job sparked his mechanical curiosity and led to his first invention, was the belt fastener for the sewing machine.
Hmm.
And but his first big invention, was the safety hood, and that was the precursor of the gas mask. He invented, after witnessing a fire, Morgan developed a device to allow breathing in smoke-filled areas.
Hmm.
And he had one tube that hit the floor, another tube was in the air to draw in clean air, and another with a wet sponge to filter out smoke and other toxins. And during the 1916 Lake Erie crimp disaster, a tunnel under construction filled with toxic fumes trapped the workers. And Morgan and his brothers used the hoods to rescue several men and recover bodies. And the Cleveland newspapers at that time and city records initially omitted his role, but eventually Morgan was recognized and awarded medals. His legacy, the device was widely used by fire departments now, and evolved into the modern gas mask that was used in World War One.
Hmm.
He also, the device that we use and see every single day of our life, are the three-position traffic signal. He invented the traffic signal
Oh.
in that area. The problem in that era was the hand crank two signals, stop and go lights, and accidents were frequent at intersections. And so Morgan invented the T-shaped pole. signal, a pole signal that added a third position, all directions stop, what we now call the yellow light, and the red and the green light, of course. His legacy, he sold the patent to General Electric for $40,000, and his concept became the standard integrated into automatic traffic systems worldwide.
Switzerland is the most beautiful country in the world.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna find out who's off mute there. Wow.
Well, other inventions. He
The
is
villages look like they're straight out of a story.
Abby, did I hear?
Yeah, keep going. I gotta.
We got to figure out who's got noise in the background and
Okay.
get it on mute. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Hair care products. He founded a hair care product company, and he had inventions with the straightening comb and hair creams that are still used today, of course. And he was a community leader, and he founded the Cleveland Call of the newspaper, later called The Call and The Post. He was also a member of NAACP, and he ran for city council. And the challenges he faced were significant discrimination, which forced him to adopt creative strategies to market his inventions. And during the demonstrations of the safetyhood, he sometimes hired a white actor to pose as the inventor.
Oh, man.
He himself as Big Chief Mason, a Native American assistant. Only after the device was proved successful would he reveal himself to be the true inventor. And so Morgan was married to Mary Ann Hassick, and they had 3 children, and he was deeply involved in Cleveland's civic life. And he passed away in 1963 at the age of 86. And he had many schools, streets, organizations that bear his name, and he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. And his inventions are foundations to the modern public safety systems, the traffic light, and of course the gas mask, are all developments that had great impact in the 20th century. And Garrett Morgan was a self-taught visionary who transformed personal observation into life-saving innovation, overcoming societal barriers to leave the world a safer place, more safer than he found it. And that's history. Our history, Black History moment for today.
Thank you so much.
That's
That is an
fascinating.
inspiring story.
Yeah.
And man,
A lot of people did not know that the man that they see every single day is that traffic signal was invented by a Black man with a 6th grade education.
yeah.
And a self-taught man who also invented the gas mask that they used in World War One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both life-saving devices, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when you told the story about the people in the tunnel, that just gave me the willies. I spent my career doing hazardous waste site cleanup and so forth, and we did a lot of training around going, how to deal with unsafe spaces like that, and using, breathing equipment was part of it. And wow.
Wow. Well, thank you for telling us about him, Linda.
Well, I thank you for allowing me to have a few moments of your time today, and I totally enjoy bringing this to you.
Yeah. All right.
I have something for you next week, and next Monday morning.
Okay. Yeah. Next Monday we'll actually be skipping because it's school vacation week, but perhaps you can join us again later in the month. Yeah.
Later in the month, I'll bring you another episode of Black History, and in the United States and around the world, actually, and I will bring that to you.
All right. Great. Thank you very much. All right. Well, with that wonderful kickoff or opening act, we will turn it over to Paul Carew, who I say is our featured speaker, man about town, been doing great work with veterans for multiple decades here. So, Paul, let me hand it off
Yeah,
to
yeah, multiple decades is a good number.
you.
Very nice piece, Linda. It's amazing some of the work that's done around us. We have no idea who invented it, who, and so forth. It's nice to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Black History Month. Well, I am a member of Natick Black Lives Matter. Deborah plucked me off the street and it recruited me for the organization. So I guess it is fitting.
Yeah.
Doug and Sarah asked me to talk, and I did this series, speaking series, uh, with the criminal justice system, uh, and it's called "The Hidden Wounds of War." And take away the war, the hidden wounds, and apply we can apply that to ourselves in our daily lives. It talks about the hidden wounds of war. Uh, in this context, post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'm a victim of. I live with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury, two most common disabilities, injuries uh, of military veterans, and carries on to the public sector, also with folks around us. There's probably not many of you that don't know somebody that suffers from some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder. It could be minor, it could be a medium, it could be chronic. We don't know. But one of the part of my work is helping people deal with that post-traumatic stress disorder. And post-traumatic stress disorder uh, and traumatic brain injuries almost always together. So you don't have one without the other. But we're going to talk. We're going to talk more. I'm going to talk more about the post-traumatic stress disorder, and think about it when I talk about it. In 1980, the American Psychiatric Association included PTSD for the first time as an official diagnosis. PTSD is now classified as an anxiety disorder with 4 criteria. Now, why do you imagine they included PTSD in 1980? Was there something going around around in 1980?
Yeah. What were you going to say, Sarah?
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm guessing veterans coming back from Vietnam, a lot of people.
That's 100% correct. That is why. And uh, I was on the ground floor of the treating that PTSD, including in the 80s, and in having working groups. Doug and Sarah and some of you folks know that I do a weekly, it's called cognitive behavioral therapy smart recovery group. So it's and we do it every Saturday. We started doing it pre-COVID, as they say, in person, and since COVID, we do it on Zoom. And we have a good a good group of folks. And I think I said earlier, it's not limited to the veteran population. It's open to all folks, all people, not just veterans. PTSD affects a lot of people, not just veterans. PTSD, people used to think, have the idea PTSD was a war injury. It's not a war injury. Sometimes being in a war will compound the effects of PTSD, but it's not a war injury. The majority, I would say 80% of cases of PTSD among our veterans uh, listen, this is a word, non-direct combat experience. Direct combat experience. 90% of combat is the gear in the rear, the people sitting in the rear getting stuff ready for the people on the front lines. And then then the people on the front lines are well supplied by the people in the rear. So the gear in the rear are brought out to the people in the front lines. So I mentioned that the PTSD is an anxiety disorder with has 4 criteria.
Hey,
Okay,
well, what time is it?
Go ahead, Paul.
the the existence of a recognizable stressor that would evoke distress in nearly anyone. At least one of 3 types of re-experience and symptoms: recurrent and intrusive recollections, recurrent dreams, or suddenly acting as if the traumatic event were reoccurring. We call those flashbacks. At least one indicator of numbing of responsive or reduced involvement in the world. This diminished interest in activities, feelings of detachment, and disinterest or constricted effect. At least 2 of an array of other symptoms, including hyperarousal. You're driving down the street, all of a sudden, being a helicopter veteran, I hear the familiar sound of the many helicopters flying over our heads in this area. It has different effects, but it's very, very much a startle for me. At least 2 of an array of other symptoms, including hyperarousal, startle, just mentioned startle, sleep disturbance, a big one, survivor's guilt, another big one. How come he went? I didn't go. How come I didn't go? He got back and forth. Survivor guilt, memory impairment, trouble concentrating, avoidance of activities, reminiscent of the trauma. And what's the stresses that might reoccur, past histories? Uh, for me, for example, I have the helicopter thing. I flew a lot of helicopters. I didn't fly them, but I flew in a lot of helicopters back and forth uh, off the USS Tripoli into South Vietnam. for different reasons. I can still picture the pilot and co-pilot and the instruments in the helicopter because I'd stand right behind these two individuals, make sure they're doing their job right. So that's why so many years of doing that. I shouldn't say so many years, so much time of doing that. Re- brings on starter response when I hear that any kind of helicopter flying over my head. It could be government, it could be Channel 5 News, and they are very distinctive sounds. So what invokes the stresses? I mentioned four. Number one, what's an example of number one? That a stressor. Examples of recognizable stressors that could evoke distress in nearly everybody. The most common is death of someone close, terminal illness of self or someone close. And number two, intrusive recollections could be triggered by simple daily events. Driving down the road, not wanting to pass under a bridge or overpass, but fear of a sniper attack. This new generation of war, IEDs in the roadway, being around people who look like your old enemy. Loud noises such as backfires, I mentioned that already, or fireworks. I haven't been to a fireworks since I was in the military. These could bring recurrent intrusive recollections along with somebody acting as a dramatic event or reoccurring. Reference to number three, an example is this of this is not being affected by events such as death. You might call that kind of a cold personality, where a person doesn't, doesn't react to this stuff. And this most of the time involves detachment of our family members. So, cousin Charlie from Pittsfield, Mass, passes away suddenly from unknown causes. Well, cousin Charlie was the most likable person anybody ever meet. Families making plans to go to Pittsfield to see Uncle Charlie's family, and I'd be the one that would stay back because I didn't want to face another death. I see enough of that in my daily dealings with my veterans population, with my friends and relatives. So I don't need to drive an hour and a half to see death. Startle number four, hyperarousal or startle. I mentioned earlier, the helicopter flying overhead. I mentioned earlier, the car driving down the street. They really should get a new muffler on it because it sounds like you know what. And start on everybody that goes by. When was the last time you were sitting in the library, Sally, and that knucklehead sitting next to you dropped a book on the floor? Is that a startle? Yeah, that was me, Sally. No, I'm not kidding. Uh, so that's a form. Do they have? Do they have sleep disturbance in that category? Uh, and this has happened to me on occasion where I'll wake up into a rage, into a fighting mode, even though my wife just left the room, but she could see me starting up, the hands tossing, the legs kicking, and so forth. It happens. It doesn't give you. It doesn't give us any warning. You're sleeping, all of a sudden you have a dream. I'll call it a flashback about getting off of a helicopter and what they used to call hot landing zones. Hot landing zone meaning the enemy's covering that. But the helicopter's going to go in. It might be for resupply of ammunition to the troops. It might be medevac, whatever it is. The helicopter has to get in there, and we have to protect the helicopter. That's a lasting, living memory. And I've woken up out of a deep sleep in the back of a helicopter. So one of the things we talk about when I do this presentation, I'm not going there sentence by sentence, word by word, because that would probably bore a lot of you people. Someday I might. Uh, so let's stick with the hyperarousal for a minute. Uh, you know, normal door slamming. I hate when someone walks in my office and slams the door behind them. You're sitting here talking to a group of people, and you've seen this before. All of a sudden, somebody walks, they don't realize what I'm doing. They walk in and they tap me on the shoulder. That startles the shit out of me. You know, I go into fight or flight mode. One of the other things that we get from these recurring stresses, incidents, is memory impairment. How can you, how can I concentrate on doing a chore when this incident keeps flying back into my memory? It's not easy. And with our veterans coming home from the sandbox 20-year war, we saw a lot more of the PTSD. A lot more people going through these symptoms, the sleeping issues, the survivor, memory impairment, trouble concentrating. A lot more of this I see. I'll see a person come in my office, sit across from me, and basically ramble because they came here to talk about the traumatic incident that took place. Maybe a combat zone, maybe not a combat zone. You know, most of the incidents that take place with our military are in non-combat zones. Most of them, for example, a very high number of military veterans, both male and female, suffer from what's called military sexual trauma. And that many times, most of the time, starts right in basic training. And I'm an example of that. It stays with you. It might be hidden for a long time. It might be in number 4 lobe in the back of your head, on number 3, but it's still there, waiting to escape. And what could trigger that? Some of the trash we see on TV about sexual victims squad, whatever it is, that could trigger it. Another sexual victim. That's a trigger. So some of the dangerous symptoms of PTSD, you can live with PTSD. You do live with PTSD. It's a lifetime thing for you. It's not it happens and it's gone. If you're diagnosed with PTSD, it's with you forever. It could lie hidden, like I say, in lobe number 3 or 4. It could be like hidden, just waiting for a trigger to jump out, which it does in many occasions.
So Paul, is the therapy work that you do how to manage it, not cure it then?
Yeah, thank you, Doug. That's spot on. If therapy is kind of funny. You know, I've been known as a therapist to the therapist. So a psychiatrist will get my name from the magic list, and doctor will call me and say, Paul, not knowing how to start the conversation, but what he needs is he needs somebody to talk to. So psychiatrists, psychologists, let me say psychologists treat trauma through words. They treat trauma through activities, exercises. All right, so I suffer from PTSD. What does my psychologist suggest for me? Number 1, continue doing the work you do. That's a big savior for you. Do the work that I'm doing now helps my PTSD immensely. If I didn't have this work to do, I think I'd be a basket case. dealing with other people's pain, trauma helps me, especially especially when it's a success case. And I like to think that most of the time that I deal with these cases uh, are successful. You know, they might come to my office with the big frown on their face, getting ready to tell me about what happened in boot camp, or ready to tell me what happened at home between uh, a couple, the family, and then and I'm not the last stop. Uh, in most of my cases, people are coming to us, I hear, for trauma issues. Uh, last year, last year I had 6 uh, suicide cases. 5 of them were handled successfully. And again, I'm not the last stop. So they come, they see me, I bring the atmosphere down, I I I I, I talk them down, and then anybody that comes right out with that cry needs help immediately. I've been through it too many times, and some of you have also. So what I do, the next step for me is call one of the VA suicide lockdowns programs, and they are lockdowns with the programs, and I'll take that individual to Northampton, Bedford, West Russia, wherever, JP, and get them 24/7 treatment. And like I say, I'm the ice cube. When they come to see me, I'm the ice cube. I'm gonna talk them down, but with the understanding that they have to go to the next step. And sometimes uh, sometimes unfortunately, it's not on their own. Sometimes it's forced admittance into one of these programs. So my expression is, I'll take Doug by the hand and take him directly to Bedford VA Hospital, 4-4, and get him some good solid treatment. So I'm only the icing on the cake. I get things started here. I can't. Sometimes it starts here. I'll be honest with you. I mentioned the suicides, and I'm not going to go into them. Last year alone, I had 6 veterans cry out, and including me making a trip to one of these veterans' houses, and this veteran sitting on his couch in his house with his wife, 14 guns and a gun locker, and 1 gun on his lap.
Hmm.
Good friend of mine. He's a therapist. Good friend of mine. What would a normal, intelligent interaction be? Call the police? They're going to be called eventually. You want to reassure this veteran that he has a friend, and talk him down, obviously, but get him. They hand over his weapons, and in this case, I had him permission from him for his brother-in-law to come into his house and take all the weapons out of his house. Happy ending. Again, now he's a therapist. He's a licensed clinical social worker working with trauma victims. Success.
Ridley has been putting some links in the chat on crisis lines that people can contact themselves as well.
That's something to always keep in our minds. I've said this many times. I'm not the end of the road. I can be the speed bump where I stop, I slow things down, I make things better for the time being, and give direction to the individual. But there's going to be another step in my treatment and in my care. Does Deb have her hand up?
She does, yeah. What's up, Deb?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I want to thank you, Paul. I'm in Smart Recovery Group, and that's the group you were talking about, right?
Yes.
I'm in Paul's Smart Recovery Group, and every Saturday, him and Doc Sock, we all get on and we do a lot of laughing, but we also do a lot of talking about what's going on with us. And for someone who needs support in that area, because I was diagnosed with bipolar when I came back from Paris, and not just that, Paul has been a friend. When I came to Natick, I used to go to Paul's office, sit and talk, and he was very instrumental in keeping me uh, stabilized. Just having a friend, someone to talk to. He never threw me out of his office or said I don't have time. He always has time for me. Even now, he comes on the show and talks. We have long conversations, and I remember one of my sisters, when one of the first shows Paul and I had, and I was showing it to my sister on the Cape, and she says, "This is like a therapy session for you. This is a TV show." But Paul and I, we just sit and we talk, and I learned through Paul's experiences and what he went through and his lived experience that he has the capacity for other people and that he gives back to people like me and that sustains him. And he also told me about how he has therapists too that he's able to talk to. And he's also joined up with us, Native Black Lives Matter folks. And Paul and I have a lot of in common. We love books, we love reading. One of our favorite books is The New Jim Crow. So he always gives me books, and I always give him books. Encouragement, words of encouragement from the Lord. So we're going to be sad. We're going to miss you as you go on, but are you going to be able to be accessible? Are we going to be able to find you and still talk? You'll be still coming on here.
Well, if Doug and Sarah will have me up, I'll continue to be a regular of this program. I'm not going anywhere. I have an office already furnished for me at the Amvets Post 79 in Natick, Mass. So I'm not going too far. I'm gonna work at my leisure. I'm gonna do a couple of speaking engagements at Mass Bay Community College, talking about before, during, and after incarcerated veterans. I'm gonna be doing some lectures on that subject. So I'm not going anywhere. And that's an interesting subject in itself. Is I work with incarcerated veterans. I work with veterans on reentry. I have one veteran I'm working with uh, went to prison at 18 years old. He's not a veteran. Went to prison at 18 years old and got out 40 years later. He's in my office. I'm on the phone with him at least 2 or 3 times a week. And can you imagine 40 years in prison, never even driven a car, has no idea what a cell phone is. But this veteran is fortunate. You know what this veteran has? He has strong, strong family values in Watertown. He's Armenian, and they take care of their own. And he, like I say, I work with him. I'm in contact with him at least 3, 4, 5 times a week, and I'm proud to say that he's doing very, very well here, William.
That's really good. Sally, I see you've got your hand up if you want to come off mute. And
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Doug. Um, Paul, you've mentioned a lot of, touched on such a wide spectrum of help and, just companionship and discussions and the repetitiveness of some of your wonderful veterans who just, they need you more than once a week, obviously. And that listening and strength to keep listening. I imagine they repeat themselves a lot, don't they? Yeah. How do you handle that when do you refer them then maybe to a clinical psychologist?
Uh, that's not the reason I would. That's part of the reasons I would.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One of the things that goes along with post-traumatic stress disorder is just that, Sally, repetitiveness. I can be that way myself. I have what's considered chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. The Veterans Administration labels me 100% service-connected PTSD. So there's something there. I've been to the therapist. I have my own civilian therapist that I go to on a regular basis. I could I could call him right now and say, Doctor Ed, got a problem here. You got a minute? And boom, we're off and running. That's the key to successful recovery is to have somebody. All right, to have somebody, and that's why no, one day a week. I have a cell phone 508-745-8893. I can be reached 24/7. I said that at a selectmen's meeting, and I meant it. I'm gonna have this cell phone when I leave this job. I'm gonna have this cell phone number. It's just gonna be my own service.
Yeah.
So not you can't start what I started and drop it.
No.
That's why
Yeah. Do you have someone that you're grooming and kind of training to help take your spot?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me that. I'm so fortunate to have friends over the years. This young man, his family grew up in Natick. His grandfather was a dear friend of mine. Unfortunately, I helped to bury his grandfather at 87 years old, but he lived a good life. And when I was burying his grandfather, this individual was in the United States Navy Special Operations in the Far East. So he couldn't be home. So I took over his duties. I sat by his grandfather's bedside as he died. I did all that stuff. And he never forgot that gesture. So my position went up for an opening, Ben right away he calls me and says, "Paul, are you really getting out of business?" I said, "No, I'm not getting out of business. I'm retiring from my day job. I'm still in the business, man. How would you like me to take over your business? Navy veteran, special operations, the whole nine yards, small business owner, owns a motorcycle repair shop in Midland. So I mean, oh, by the way, Sally, he has two master's degrees, not one, two. So he's also got that little extra. One of the masters, like myself, one of his master's degrees is sociology.
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to be the new director of Veteran Services then, Paul?
Everything going to Hoyle. This February 12th, he has his interview with the town.
Mm.
My understanding, he's the only applicant at this time, or they're just not sharing that with me. Which is possible because
Sure.
they do know, because he's told the town administrator Jamie Harrison and the rest of them numerous times my effects on his family, the positive effects. So maybe maybe they're kind of keeping the process out of my realm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because my closeness to this individual. His name is Benjamin Hendricks. Grew up in Natick. Like I say, his grandfather was my first connection. Walking around Amherst meeting down the ramp. His grandfather says, "I have two grandsons. They're veterans. I'd like you to meet them." Now the two grandsons are lifetime friends
Mm.
and successful VA cases.
Mm.
Hmm.
Marvelous.
So yes, Sally, I get the best of the best coming in my office.
Keeping the
I
tradition
have a
going.
question.
Yeah, but Deb,
Paul, do you have are you a licensed psychologist, clinical psychologist? You have your master's degree.
I'm not a clinical psychologist.
You have a master's in social work.
Sociology.
Okay, but you also work with the Council of Aging and Disabled. You have a lot of credentials. I was wondering if you could tell us.
I do. I'm the ADA coordinator for the town of Natick. That's part of my responsibilities. Somebody has an issue, say they're living in public housing with a sidewalk, the door, the restrooms, or whatever it might be. I have to react. I have to send it to boss, and boss has to send out an investigator, and they have to deal with it. So yeah, I wear a few hats in the town of Natick. I'm the Graves registration officer. What's that mean? I'm responsible for the graveyards. You see these beautiful flags around Memorial Day? That's my job. Not to get it done. To get it done. Don't get me wrong. Uh, 25, 30 years ago, me and two veterans do all the graveyards in there. It doesn't work that way anymore. We have way too many graves in the town there. So what
You're
else
also,
do I have then?
you're also a clergy. What do you call it? Chaplain for Dover.
Uh, no, I'm a Eucharistic minister and a clinical, which means that at my house of worship, I can give the body of Christ. That's the Eucharist minister. I taught all through my daughter's education process. I taught every year religious education at St. Lion's Church. I was their Sunday school teacher. Every church, right? Like your church has Sunday school teachers.
Sunday
And
school
you
with
know what?
Polly. I love it.
I love doing that. People look at me like,
Yeah.
what?
And you're a prayer warrior. I don't want you to forget. Prayers, you
Yeah,
know.
well, I believe Deborah just mentioned prayer warrior. Uh, you know, I go to church. I have my reserved seat in the pew. I go to the same pew, same seat every Sunday at 9 a.m. at St. Linus Church. Same one. I've never seen anybody sit in that pew. I've never seen anybody sit in the entire pew. Never seen anybody sit directly behind my pew. You know,
That's the way church is. Yeah. Hey, Paul, I wanted to ask you, is the Saturday morning group, so this might go back to part of what Deb was saying too, where she comes to that. It sounds like, or I'm guessing that you might have some long-term participants and to the point where maybe somebody comes initially because they really need the group for something they're going through right then and there, but they find it valuable, and so they keep coming back, and eventually, from being part of all these conversations, they learn how to be a really good active listener themselves, and kind of give back to the group. Do you see that in
I
people?
see that. I see that all the time. Now, let me just real quickly before I forget. These groups have great success rates. I have one graduate. These groups can be for life, as we mentioned before. But sometimes, like the court, my groups are court mandated. So Judge Fabry will say, "Okay, Paul, you're gonna go through uh, 52 weeks a year of this Saturday morning groups, and then Mr. Carew and Doc Sock will decide if you if you had enough. If you so that's the way it works. But most that's how it started. Now most of our participants are word of mouth. Okay, Doug and Sarah said we're in this meeting. They says, "Hey, that group would be great for Joe next door," and they call me, and believe me, it's confidential in nature. I think everything I do is confidential in nature. But they come to our groups, and sometimes they stay for a long time. I mean, the only prerequisite me and Doc have to join our groups is a 15-minute interview before you join. We want to make sure that you join them for the right reasons. I think Bill has
Yeah.
his hands up.
Yep, he does. Yeah, Bill.
Hi, Paul.
One.
Just a comment first. I just think we all owe you a great debt of gratitude for all you've done over the decades. Um, and I just was wondering, I think you've answered this, but two things. One is how are you going to transition these folks that really need you? And I think your success rate is because of the way you treat people. So I think you're an important part of that, and I just want to hold that up. But I am also concerned, and as I say, I think you answered this, but how are you going to continue to take care of yourself and some of the folks that you've been involved with for years?
Well, I was fortunate. Bill the town told me I could keep my cell phone. I could keep my cell phone number. So I'm going to continue with the service. So the people I'm working with, dealing with now, uh, going to have a new email address. Most of my work is done uh, through the email, the group process. So I'm not going to lose a step, Bill. If I'm working with Sally for the last 15 years, right? I give up my day job. I'm not giving up Sally. How's that? Sorry, Sally.
Sally
Don't
doesn't
forget
like
me.
to
Don't give me
explain.
up either, Paul. Deb.
And Deb's a great salesperson. Deb's been going to my groups for a long time, and she sees the interaction between the
Yeah.
participants and each other. She sees the interaction between, I'll call us the referees, Dr. Salk and myself, and it all clicks in and works, right, Deb?
I look forward to it. It's a staple. It's a stabilizing. When you have a group that you can go to on a Saturday, people you can talk to, people that know what's going on in your life. It's helpful.
Yeah.
I think that I really need the group. I love the group.
People,
Yeah.
Doc will say to me once in a while, I don't want to give up a week, okay? If say I'm going to New Hampshire, the White Mountains, I can bring my laptop, I can use my phone. Doc will say, you're going away for the week. We're still doing group, Doc, right? We're still doing group, Doc.
Yeah.
Well, the holidays are coming. If you're busy, Doc, I'll do the group myself. All right? That's how important it is to me to do the group. Don't get
No,
me wrong. Twice a year, twice a year, I might take a Saturday off, and
you need those Saturdays, Paul.
but these groups, these groups are so important to many people. And somebody asked about longevity. I have one person that's still coming to group every Saturday, and he's been coming for since we started.
Mhm.
He's sober. He's in a good mental place, and he's I call him Mr. Education. He's got like 7 master's degrees, right? I call him Mr. Education, but but that's the way the group is. The best word to describe my Saturday morning groups is not psychology, not sociology, family.
Yeah.
As corny as corny as that term is, we are family. Well, you leave my group with that thought.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I'm not going to sing in any group.
Looks
If
like
I went to Doug and Sarah's church and tried to join the choir, they'd throw me right out the door.
no, everybody's welcome in our choir.
Yeah, our choir is pretty
Well,
open.
Sally, you got your hand up again. Go ahead.
I don't know how that happens. That's me.
You're
Yeah, no, I could lower yours, Paul, but Sally, what were you gonna
right.
say? Yeah.
Keep on singing, Paul. One of the things that touches me is your work in the prisons too. And I think that's where I find that there's just such a need. And I can only imagine, what you're going and being there and being available. I'll bet that you could use 10 of you, couldn't you, in the prison
The
situation?
DOC could use clone me 10 times, Sally. I'm still working with veterans incarcerated, not just veterans, uh, incarcerated individuals. I have one Sally that I might talk to him 2 or 3 times a day on the phone, and he's at MCI Norfolk, medium security prison. I have another one just went back for his third tour, Angel, and I'll talk to him weekly. Unfortunately, Angel didn't do too well in his last 2 parole tries. He started drinking again and so forth. So, uh, but I love my prison work. My first job out of college was the state prison, and I hated it because I was the enforcer. I made sergeant in 3 years. I was in charge of a group of correctional. I hated that job.
Really?
I hated that job. Was I good at it? I was terrific at it. But I still hated that job.
Hmm.
The best job I had, Sally, was besides this one. This one's like, heaven. The last job I had was Middlesex County Sheriff's Office. And I was case manager, treatment, assessment specialist for Middlesex County has also the suicide education officer for the county, and military sexual trauma groups, uh, PTSD groups, the Hidden Wounds of War groups. I did all these groups in the county jail. Another thing I did was reentry. So, okay, who am I going to pick on now? So, Tom is getting released on Friday. So the superintendent will call me up and say, Tom Daly, Unit 33, Room 121, is getting discharged on Friday. I need you to find him a place, and on Friday, I need you to take him to that place. And that was my favorite part of my job. So I go visit Tom in his unit and say, where you from, Tom? I already knew that because I checked up on Dorchester. Well, I don't recommend Tom going back to the scene of the crime in your case. We're gonna go somewhere else away from Dorchester. Because sometimes association led to criminal behavior and so forth. So I'll find hey Tom, how about Chelsea? What? Chelsea, yeah. So I'll find how about Somerville? We got somebody here for some. I'll take them to Somerville, Cambridge, somewhere other than because it wouldn't be helpful to go back to the scene of the crime. So I'll take Tom. I'll say, okay, let's go to Somerville. This this halfway house, this program, bing, bing, bing. We'll find them a suitable program, and most of the time, once they get that taste, I'm going to say Tom was a reoffender. He's been in and out for 7 times, and I had a good number of them, and so but you still have to try to find someplace that's going to help this individual transition from his criminal behavior, his jail life, to the real world.
Paul, is this like transitional housing or transitional work or both or what?
Combination.
Combination?
So, all right, everybody's just got their needs. So, Paul is getting released from Middlesex County Jail. Paul has a trade. He's a auto mechanic. Paul does not have any place to go. Paul's family has disowned him. So Paul has to find some place away from where his family is, someplace to live independently, or dug in a group home. So I'll do my assessment with this individual and say, okay, where would Doug be better served? In a group home or individual apartment program? And we'll make that decision, and we'll house all these halfway houses programs are in clusters. You know what a cluster is?
Explain it. Yeah.
A cluster is, say, Upton Corner in Dorchester. That's a part of Boston. In this one section of Boston, there's 20 sober houses, programs, detoxes. They're all in this one area. That's called a cluster. And that can be helpful. But at the same time, it can be dangerous because you get a cluster of ex-offenders, alcoholics, drug addicts, mental health, whatever, right? In the same area, it could be dangerous, but it also, I think it's more helpful than dangerous because, right, Paul needs help. Doug needs help. Tom, Tom needs help. Bill, we all need help. We're all in the same area, but not the same housing. But we know each other from the different times and different jails, so we can help each other. So that's why I think I like the cluster program.
Hmm. Sounds like you're going to continue to be pretty busy after your official retirement.
Well, I'm hope my big goal is to do a speaking series at Mass Bay Community College,
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm gonna do that on the incarcerated the veteran involved with the criminal justice system, and that'll involve different areas. I'll deal with uh, reentry. I'll deal with prior to incarceration. I'll deal with incarceration, which is the shortest part of the whole thing. Uh, and then I'll deal with reentry, which is the largest aspect of this veteran's life because it didn't work in the beginning. He went to jail. He went to jail. He was, how constructive can you be in jail, in prison? And he gets out of prison, he still ain't doing so good. So that's where we have to concentrate our efforts. Yeah, my biggest thing that I'm working on now is my speaking series on the before, during, and after that veterans involved in the criminal justice system.
Is that going to be this coming fall, like the fall semester of Mass Bay
I,
or something?
I've been. It's kind of weird how this works. I have a Vietnam veteran that was referred to me by his daughter and his son. His daughter was an administrator, vice president at Framia State University, and his son was in the technology field. But now the daughter's the administrator at Mass Bay Community College,
Hmm.
and she's agreed to allow me to do this series.
You said family. We talked about community. It's these connections is what ties us all together.
Well, I get every Thursday since 2012, every Thursday, with few exceptions, this Vietnam veteran sits across from me. He saw some horrific stuff in Vietnam. Two Purple Hearts, the Forrest Gump wound. We all know what that is.
Shot in the rear.
Mr. President, you want to see my wound? Yeah, yeah, getting shot in the rear. But he's a true hero, true hero. And his daughter's the administrator of Mass Bay, and she's agreed to give me the opportunity. I either do good, I excel, or I fail. I think I'll do good because once you get me started on this subject,
Yeah.
I'm passionate. I'm passionate.
Yeah, that passion clearly shows through. Well, thanks so much for spending some time with us this morning and kind of sketching out some of the milestones in your career and clearly
I
how it's
am
all going to continue.
I am going as far as my day job. That's the only thing that's going on. My cell phone. They'll allow me to keep my cell phone number, and I'll have a new email address, which you will all have shortly.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing uh, my groups off site. So I'm going to start doing my groups at my ambulance office. I'll do the Monday morning group down there. I'll do my Saturday morning groups down there. And I'm just, life goes on in the fast lane, Doug and Sarah.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Carol, Sally,
Hmm.
Kathleen,
Yeah.
Cindy, Bill, Ridley, Tom,
Yeah.
Dr. McKenzie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to miss you all because I still see you every week.
Awesome.
Excellent.
That's good to hear. Well, again, thanks so much for your time this morning. Thanks for your whole career. Thanks for all the work still to come. I want to mention just I think I mentioned at the outset next you get school vacation week coming up next week. So as tradition, we'll take out 1 week off from Coffee with a Purpose, and then we'll continue on the 23rd with Jay Ball, who I think I might have mentioned this before. Jay's Ricky's husband, also a longtime stalwart in in the Natick community. And one of the things, among many, that he did with folks from his temple was started building stuff, first for his temple and then for other groups and institutions in town. He actually put a book together called The Ark Builders. He's going to be with us on the 23rd to tell us that story. And then in March, we move into candidate season. I want to give a big shout out to Brinley, who took on the task of contacting all the candidates, and she's got a full slate lined up for each week in March. We'll be talking to the select board candidates, the school committee candidates, and possibly even the at least one, if not two, of a board of health candidate and assessor's office candidate. Those are uncontested positions, but very interesting positions. Be a good opportunity to learn more. So, really, thanks again for lining the speakers up, and it's a good segue also to ask what's going on in town this week that we should know about.
First, I'll just say thank you, Polly, for sharing so much of those experiences. It's really, I echo what others have said, that you've been a gift, and I'm grateful that you're going to keep sharing your gift with us. Because thank you, and thank you for your service. Tonight is a school committee meeting. They're going to be going over the athletic department for the budget requests, among other things, if anyone's interested in listening to that. And this is the last week of the strategic plan survey. So I really hope you have all filled it out. I put the link in the comments. Again, if you don't know what to advocate for, one of the things that I'm advocating for that I really hope can be included is a sustainability lens and more outdoor classrooming thoughts, and looking to incorporate that. So there's two ideas of things that you could put in for a strategic plan. A strategic plan is looking at where we want to go. So this isn't the capital plan of how we want to spend our money. This is our strategic plan of what kind of goals and standards and direction we'd like to see and accomplish for our schools and our students. So I hope you all fill that out. And happy Valentine's Day for all of you. I am so grateful for this group, and so I wish you all a lot of love this weekend.
Thanks for that, Brinley. Cool. Does anybody else have anything else that they would like to add before we wrap up?
I just want to thank this group of Doug and Sarah has been so supportive of my work in town. I don't need the pat on the back, but when Sally, Doug, Sarah, and the rest of you give me that pat on the back, I love it. So thank you all for being so supportive during my roller coaster ride, but mostly uphill journey through this role.
Thanks again, Paul. Yeah, no, I think this community right here, this Monday morning is pretty important to all of us. So yeah, cool, great. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap things up and turn off the recording.